Welcome to another episode of Victory Leaders Lounge podcast, where we talk about leadership and successful entrepreneurs and veterans come and tell their story. I hope you enjoy the show. Follow me. Let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Victory Leaders Lounge podcast. Today, I'm here with Sam Westfall, and we're going to chat in a minute. I do want to let you know that this is brought to you by Victory Leadership Coaching, which is my company. We tend to want to bring resilience and all kinds of great leadership stuff to the workplace. Don't forget to buy my 2 books, or at least go look at them. I have 2 of them: Why Organizations Should Develop Their Leaders. It's a pocket guide. And also Warrior Leadership, The Journey from Coach to Entrepreneur. And so I'm here with Sam Westfall, and he's an Army veteran, and he's also a serial entrepreneur doing all kinds of cool things in the archery world. But he's also an ambassador over at IVMF, and I'll let him tell more about that. But he helps veterans in the community aspect of starting their business and education. Sam, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm awesome. It's Friday. How about yourself?
It's Friday. You know, there's some crazy stuff going on in the world right now, floods and rains and everything else. But yeah, everything is good and business is good, and it is Friday, so I get to go spend some time with the family this weekend.
There you go.
So you have from what I could tell, 3 businesses, and you also have this venture you're doing with IVMF. Would you mind going into a little bit of who you are and your background, and tell us why you do what you do and what you do?
Absolutely. So we'll start off with the businesses. So first and foremost, Sam Westfall, Army veteran, served from 94 to 01, got crushed by a tank, was medically separated from the Army. That pushed me into a bit of a depression. We can cover that in a little bit anyway. But it also pushed me into a 22-year-long IT career. So I was a tank mechanic in the Army, IT career. 2023, I decided to step into my own world and start into the realm of entrepreneurship as a veteran. So Archery in Motion was the first business, and that's a 3D archery, moving target for 3D archery or firearms targets. So whether you can take a armadillo to the full-size buffalo target, throw them on there, 100 yards, wireless control, make them move around so that you're shooting a moving target, make it realistic. Took that across the country, across 2023, 2024, realized that there's an open space for a 3D archery event for the veteran and military community, and that's what started the Valor Archery Challenge. So I'm bringing archery as a therapy to the military and veteran community. So that's the second business. The third business is functional. Well, it exists. Let's start there. I don't have a space yet. I'm looking to find investors and get a building for the third business, which is Wild Shot Archery. So that's going to be an indoor archery range out to 80 yards, full of 3D targets, full of moving targets. And then we've got a whole different game of it, so I can really get into the coaching and mentorship aspect of it, along with bringing Valor Archery into its own home. So that kind of covers those 3 businesses. The IVMF side is Institute for Military Veterans and Veteran Families, bringing military veterans, mil spouses, and if they want to get into entrepreneurship, grab a hold of them, kind of get them into the program, let them go through, learn what they need to learn, help mentor and coach as I can, where I can, and get them into the community, entrepreneurial community within Colorado Springs, and then kind of focus them in the right direction. Long-winded, but there it is.
There it is. So tell us how you got into archery. I mean, there's got to be a passion there. Did you grow up with it, or is it something you found after the military, or how did that work?
Yep. So I was a hunter before I went into the military. I did competitive shooting starting at age 12. So I shot competitively all the way up to the military, shot competitively while I served. And then after I got out, like I said, crushed, alcoholism, depression, firearms, really not a good combination. A buddy of mine grabbed a hold of me and said, "Hey, just grab the bow, go try it." And so he handed me a bow. I went out, shot it a couple times, went, yeah, this is hooking. So here we are 14 years later. I've used archery as my therapy for over a decade now. Transitioned from rifle hunting into bow hunting, and really having a good time with it, and enjoyed it to the point where I said, I can bring this to the military and veteran community and show them that there's a different space and a different way to heal and connect rather than trying to go to the gun range. Gun range, you're muffed up, you can't hear, you can't really have the conversations. Bulk of the conversations go some along the lines of what firearm and what ammunition are you shooting. Archery range is totally different because you're interactive, you're shooting. When you draw the bowstring back, everything goes quiet. There's still a little bit of trash talk camaraderie going on, but when you let that arrow fly, the stress, the anxiety, the depression, PTSD symptoms all go out with that arrow, and over time it drops the levels down.
Really? So you've seen some good success with this then?
I'm not the only one. Yeah, even the VA acknowledged archery as a therapy early 2024.
Okay, I haven't seen any studies on that. I'm gonna have to check into that. So, the three of these businesses are doing good. Tell us about you kind of went into it a little bit where you were talking about investors for your indoor archery range. What's your overall vision with that? I'm curious to know more about that.
Sure. So that one's going to be, it's a little bit of a monster. So if you think about most archery pro shops and most archery ranges across the country, you're looking at a smaller space, let's call it, under 5,000 square feet. And that covers the pro shop, the archery retail area, and then an indoor range going out to 20 yards. That's cool. That's fun. It's a great way to get indoors and shoot and practice and kind of get that repetition and form and function into that. I want to make that bigger. So integrating archery tag as a corporate and team building event and having 2 arenas for that. Integrating the 80-yard indoor range so that you can really test those longer shots, build that confidence on 3D foam animals, and then at distance, then we incorporate the moving target. Now it's a whole different world for you. Bringing Valor Archery into that, you're going to get some elevated shooting platforms, moving targets, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be a whole different archery experience for folks.
So tell me a little bit more about archery tag, because that it sounds interesting, because when I think tag, it's like reaching out and touching somebody, but I would not want to be shot with an arrow. So what does that look like?
So think dodgeball, but with bows and arrows. So these arrows are 10-pound draw. You've got a 2-inch foam tip on the front of the arrow. The arrow's doing maybe 15 miles an hour. So you can, it's slow enough that you can actually see the arrow coming. You can grab a hold of it as it flies by, but it really is dodgeball, but with bows and arrows.
Oh, it's like that. Okay. So it's just
Yep.
people standing on 2 sides,
Yep.
and
2
they're
teams, 5 people
okay.
deep, a couple inflatable barriers in the middle, but you're shooting.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It's a fantastic time. It's a great team building and corporate experience. It's a lot of fun.
And you could almost do that with Nerf guns and stuff too. I mean, that just you could take that to a whole different level.
Yeah, so there's a company here in Colorado Springs called Dart Wars, and that's what they have. They have a big Nerf gun inventory, like 50 some weapons deep, from pistols to fully automatic machine guns, and you're just taking Nerf guns in and shooting each other.
That's awesome. That's beyond awesome. But they're bigger so that you can still incorporate like dodgeball rules in there, where you're grabbing them, you can shoot it back, whatever the case.
It really is just like dodgeball, right? The rules are very, very similar. If you catch the arrow, somebody comes back into the mix, you get hit by an arrow, you're out. It really is just like dodgeball, but with bows and arrows.
I think I used to play a similar game in my basement when I was a kid, where we would shoot just regular Nerf guns at each other. So Sam, you are in IVMF, you're doing this entrepreneurship thing for yourself. I mean, you're obviously a passionate entrepreneur. What led you to that? I mean, why not a job? Why entrepreneurship instead? I mean, that's like a crazy person thing, right? Because you have to be really dialed in to want to go out and start your own business.
And that there's absolute truth in that. So 20 plus years in IT, working for different companies, different industries. It all worked, financially it made sense. However, a couple of things that I struggled with was, one, I had to work at somebody else's pace, or I had to manage a team that was at a slower pace than what I'm accustomed to. The other side of that is that I had to remain within their boundaries of whatever that spectrum was of what can and can't be done and how it can and can't be done. And then there's the old rule of, we've always done it this way. So my last project in an IT space was building out a 300,000 square foot new headquarters building for a credit union here locally. And that was a wonderful project, learned a ton, but I also realized at the end of that I will never have another project that big unless I go do my own thing. So time to step away, go start my own business, take archery in motion, bring moving targets to life. That led into Valor, which is now leading into Wild Shot. So they're all tied together. They all have an end goal of incorporation amongst the three, but it really is a passion project that I can get behind.
Heck yeah. So there's something that drives you continuously, though, and it's probably not the hard work. I mean, very rarely are we just driven to the hard work, even though sometimes that's what makes it challenging and fun. But what is your why? Why are you doing what you do?
So each business has its own why. For Archery in Motion, it's to reduce the number of wounded animals across the country because of a lack of practice on moving targets. Valor Archery Challenge is really archery as a therapy for the military and veteran community so that they stop trying to fight it the hard ways, gun range, alcoholism, whatever the case may be, and utilize a camaraderie community event in archery that really changes the spectrum. And then for Wild Shot, it really is around let's bring a coaching aspect, let's bring a bow hunting coaching aspect into the archery range space that if you've never shot before, I can teach you how. If you are a bow hunter already and you want to improve it, let me teach you how. If I can help you build so that you can hike the mountains in Colorado, let me help coach you how to get improved hunting aspects of it.
Okay. Man, that sounds awesome. Oh, so tell us more about this IVMF thing. So I know that there are more than one program. I know Bunker Labs was recently brought into that. So what are some types of programs, if you wouldn't mind, since you are an ambassador, this is part of what you do. Tell us about some of those programs and how people can get involved if they want to.
So the IVMF website, Syracuse University has their big website. It has a list of all their programs. And while I'd love to say I know all of them off the top of my head, I don't, because they've got a number of them, right? VWise is a women veteran entrepreneur program. The Bunker Labs Veterans and Residents program, it still exists. So that while it was incorporated from the Bunker Labs into the IVMF space, they kind of maintained it as it was. So that really is just about new veteran entrepreneurs getting together in a big cohort, kind of learning the fundamentals about how to manage your business, kind of making some of those connections, reaching back out to those local ambassadors to figure out how that connects within the local ecosystem. There's a couple other programs. There's a couple big conferences that they do every year as well. Veterans Edge is coming up in Dallas, Texas here in March. That's going to be a huge one for veteran entrepreneurs to get together, learn from the overall community, and then some can showcase their businesses and do what they need to do.
Okay. So basically all this is if you're interested in a business or you're starting a business and you need more help, or you want to start a business and you want the education. I mean, it seems like they have all of the programs right there incorporated through Syracuse University in the IVMF program.
Very much so. Yeah, they've got some great programs. And the best part of it, it's all free to veterans and mill spouses.
Yes. I haven't gone through one yet, but I do plan on it. I need to talk to you about that because I'm going to go to the website, but I probably need to be connected to some of those people within the program. But anyway, so what is your favorite thing other than the hard work? We talked about that too, but what is your favorite thing about operating these businesses?
The favorite thing and best part is I get to use my archery as a therapy as part of my business. So if I'm getting stressed, if the hard work is becoming overwhelming, I can go to the archery range and go sling some arrows. If I need to go grab content for social media, I get to go grab my bow and go sling some arrows. So it all just ties into itself. It really is nice.
That's really smart. As an entrepreneur, that's one thing that I struggled with for a long time too, is everyone says, you got to get yourself out there on social media more. You got to do this, you got to do that. And so that's one of the reasons actually that I started a podcast and started doing live streaming, because you get to meet people, you get to have wonderful conversations, and you have all this video stuff that you can turn into video content, short reels, and you can make picture stuff out of the same topics. But
right.
So yeah, that's really good. I mean, it's taking like a whole life concept to running a business. Doing this helps this, and doing that helps that, and doing everything together. It's just you're having fun, and you're building your business.
Correct.
So
It's just a big circle that builds on itself even every day.
yep. So if somebody came up to you and said, I wanted to start a business, what's one piece of advice that you would give them?
Just one?
Oh,
Or do you
can
want
tell us
the
as
full
much as you
rundown?
want.
Okay, there we go. So for those that have walked up, whether it's a Facebook group or whether it's an individual that's walked up to me, a veteran entrepreneur, and said, how do I get started? Well, have an idea first and foremost. Kind of develop what you think is an entry-level business plan. And it really doesn't have to be much, half a page, full page. Some of mine are 24 pages deep. You have to start somewhere. Reach out to groups like IVMF, Warrior Labs, the Rosie Network, DAV Patriot Bootcamp, your local SBDC, your local Veteran Business Outreach, and even score.org, because those are all programs that are designed to help entrepreneurs build their businesses, get a better understanding of it, focus them in the right direction, help them make those connections that they need to help build their business, and then go from there.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good advice too, because use the free resources first, but they all build on each other. So if you want a mentor to build your business, you can go to SCORE. If you want education to build your business and you're a veteran, you can go to IVMF. If you want to build a network, you can go to IVMF. You can go to social media. You can do all of this stuff. And if you want to validate your idea and see what the market looks like for that, you can go to the SBDC, and they can help you with that too. So
Yep.
You're right. You should definitely vet your ideas, but don't let that discourage you if there's not a huge market for it, especially if you're super passionate about it. You can go out there and do local surveys and the whole 9 yards. But I think the whole reason that I started this show in the first place is because I feel like that anyone from any background, if they have a passion for something, should be willing to dedicate to themselves, that they're willing to go out there and live the life that they want to live. And people that have done that, I mean, you said you had alcoholism, PTSD, and the whole 9 yards. I had alcoholism a long time ago, but PTSD has been one of those things that I've been battling with as well. And I feel like everything that I do now, it doesn't put those symptoms in remission, but it's almost like they go away when I'm doing something that I'm passionate about for just a short amount of time.
And when you're hyper focused on something, life gets easier. And to your point, right? This country was built off of entrepreneurship at some level, shape, form, or fashion. So everybody has the capability. There's a guy that I work with here in Colorado Springs a lot, and one of his favorite sayings is, entrepreneurship isn't easy, and that's by design. It's, if those that want it will go after it, those that don't will go back to a 9 to 5.
Yes. And you know what? I do want to put that out there too. If a 9 to 5 is you, and your focus is not necessarily on building something from scratch or purchasing a business model and running with it, or whatever the case may be, there's nothing wrong with working. Working is also what builds this country. I mean, everyone that has a business will eventually want to hire. So thank you for being willing to do the 9 to 5 stuff, because anyone who has a business needs you. So yes, there's no good, bad, right or wrong out there. It's just, I think entrepreneurship is so amazing because it may turn into a greedy venture for some later on. That's only if they forget where they came from. Just like in a job, when you become a senior manager, sometimes you forget where you come from. But at the end of the day, it's really about a passion that you want to move towards and grow something. I mean, if you hear people like Steve Jobs, I mean, my goodness, that guy, he started with a passion. He didn't even know anything about the products. He just went out there and sold the hell out of it.
That's right. The man knew how to talk, and he knew how to sell it, and that was great for him.
Yep. He saw the need for it. He felt like even he could use it, and he had all the tools at his disposal and the people being willing to put in the work. And he went out there as a team and made it happen. And by the way, if you don't have a team, if you're a solopreneur, I'm very passionate about the idea that you need to grow your network as fast as possible, because that network will be your team. And I'm not necessarily talking about paying for services. Sometimes you just need a group of people that you can run ideas across and say, hey, look, I'm stuck here. What would you do? And that's your team right there.
Even on those bad days, your team will help pick you up.
Yes. It's motivation. It's help. It's, I mean, gosh, so much. I don't even know. I think my list is long. It's a laundry list of reasons why I would want to build my network out and just be able to drop somebody a DM or pick up the phone, or, whatever the case, just to know that those people are there. It makes this process so much more valid.
Well, and especially as a solopreneur, like you said, right? It's hard because you are dependent 100% on yourself unless you're paying somebody else, which you may or may not have the funds to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have good days. You're going to have rough days. Having that big network means you can reach out to go and, hey, I'm struggling today, help. Or, hey, they'll even say, okay, Sam's disappeared for 4 or 5 days. Let's reach out to him to make sure he's all right, make sure he's got everything he needs, and where we can help pick him up and rock and roll him.
Yep. That's 100% true. And we need those people, especially in the veteran community. My goodness, the veteran community needs to reach out to each other, because oftentimes, you brought up PTSD again. That's been a common theme for the conversation. I truly feel like we as veterans have difficulty wanting to ask for help. And it's because when we were serving, it was drink water, change your socks, suck it up and drive on, stuff it down and continue the mission. And so now we're on the outside. We don't have the same mission that we had before. We don't have that huge support system that we can laugh and joke with all the time, and that miniature family that we're out in the field with and working with. Just having, that's another benefit of having a network. It's just, battle buddy check, picking up the phone and saying, hey, Sam, how are you doing today? Are you still doing well, or did you want to talk about anything? Or if you're that person who wouldn't normally reach out for help, knowing that you can call and say, hey, I have something on my mind and it's really, really bothering me. I just need to talk to somebody about this. Having that network to be able to do that.
It's huge. And developing those close relationships is really a good thing. With Valor, that's part of that community level event. So while it is a 3D archery event, I'm bringing the veteran service organizations, I'm bringing the veteran outreach, hunting and fishing organizations, all to offer a booth at the event, so that not only can you connect with the other shooters and participants that are at the event, but you can also connect with those groups that you may or may not have thought about, or may or may not even know existed. So that really try to help build not only just that outside level of community and camaraderie around it.
Yep. Now we're getting kind of towards, we're halfway through the 20-minute mark, up to 30, which is how long the podcast is. This is the point where I usually ask the guest, and this isn't an entrepreneurship question. This is just an overall question. So if you had one piece of advice to share with the entire network here, what would that be?
You've already hit nail on the head. Build your network, build your community, reach out and ask for help.
Okay. That's very good. I can't preach more about my network. I should probably go ahead and mention this. I mentioned it to you on our call last week, and I have quite a few people interested in it. If you're a veteran service organization out there, hit me up. I would love to have you on my podcast. If you are a member of IVMF, I'm going to ask Sam for this after the call, but reach out to me. I'd love to have you on the podcast. I need to start bringing awareness to some of these programs. I think it's very, very important. In addition to that, I am starting an off social media community. It's called Vetrapreneurs, which is fun and clever. And I will put the link to that below all of the, I will try to hit all the platforms after this call. But if you're a veteran and you have a business, but you don't know if you want to reach out to IVMF or the Small Business Administration or whatever to start reaching out for help, and you just like a group of veterans to be able to bounce ideas off of, join the group. start talking. You know, you never know where a conversation's going to take you. You never know what a community is going to bring for you. And I don't usually advertise, but you brought that up, and networking is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying to build that ecosystem. So, well, gosh, we talked about a lot in a short amount of time, and, you know, we covered a lot of bases. You know, I don't normally run out of questions, but I am today. What's something that you'd like to talk about for 5 minutes?
Let's see. Where do we want to go? So we'll throw it out here. Do you mind if I take it to a slightly different realm?
Please do. Yes.
Cool.
This is all about my guests.
All right. So for those that are in the military today, or those that are veterans, if you think that the gun range is the right therapy for you, it may be. However, I would encourage you to think about this the next time you go to the gun range. How do you feel after you get done? How do you feel the next 3 or 4 days? How's your sleep? How is your situational awareness? Because I would imagine and I would assume that your stress, your anxiety, your situational awareness have all gone up. You've got redeveloped sleep issues over the next 4 or 5 days after you go to the gun range. Why? Because you're shooting at human silhouettes the same as you were while you served. The difference between going to the archery range is that you have no neurological connection between shooting a bow at a 3D foam animal the same as you did when you served in the military. Try archery, give it a shot, reach out if you have questions. I'm happy to answer them.
You know, there's something to that. You know, I do go to the range once in a while to shoot my weapons. I want to stay proficient with them, you know. But I also have a crossbow over here that I was given as a gift from my father-in-law, and you know, my yard's big enough where I can use that and not have to worry about, you know, end up hitting the neighbor's house or something like that. And so
don't do that.
Well, no, I don't want. If I didn't have the space to do it, I wouldn't do it, obviously. But you know, there's something to that. You don't have the loud bang. I'm shooting at a bag. This $30 bag that I bought specifically for archery. You know, it's really great and it's calm. You don't have to worry about the kickback or anything of that. It's just it's a super calm thing. It doesn't require a lot of effort. You have to basically sit in the quiet while you're doing it, and it gives you an opportunity to focus at a level that you may or may not normally get to focus at. And you're out in nature, listening to the birds and everything else. It's kind of nice to be able to just to enjoy that peace and quiet, focus on something, and just enjoy an activity. And by the way, you know, veterans, we tend to like going to the range and hitting our targets. So you still have that aspect of wanting to
have the accuracy and the precision.
You still have all that accuracy and precision. And if you haven't used a bow before, dialing it in on a regular bow and using a scope, if you have a crossbow, it's a little bit different. And I mean, the adjustments, all that, it's just a little bit different, not much, but a little bit. And plus there's different maintenance that you have to do for the weapon and everything else. So I agree. I think it's worth exploring. I'm ever in Colorado, I'm going to have to hit you up because I'd like to go to your archery range.
Come on out.
Come on out. Well, Sam, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. We're right at the end of this podcast. What I'm going to go ahead and say to everybody listening is that if you like this information, please click like. If you're interested in more people hearing it or seeing more of it, click subscribe, especially if you're on my YouTube channel. But the most important thing is we'd love to know what you want to hear. We love to know what kind of questions you have about all these conversations. So if you tune in and you're watching, feel free to leave a question during the chat, but put a comment below so that we can answer those later on, because this is supposed to be an interactive experience. And usually most of the interaction happens afterwards, which is fine. But I appreciate these conversations and I want to bring more people into them. And that's all I have to say for the day. Sam, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed. And we'll talk more after this. And thank you everybody out in the audience for staying with me for so long and helping me with referrals to bring more people onto the podcast. And you all have a good day.